Hello everybody, welcome to the Generic Happy YouTube channel. I hope you're all doing well and staying safe. I'm Omar, otherwise known as Generic Happy, and today I wanted to record a discussion video talking about what Nintendo's 2024 has already been, what it will be for the rest of the year, as well as talk a little bit about 2025, as we are expecting by the end of March 2025 for Nintendo's next console to at least have been announced. And so I figured this would be a pretty cool discussion topic. I didn't really do much discussion topics this year so far, talking about really any of the releases Nintendo's had, or even really the directs. And so I figured this would be a pretty cool, somewhat long video maybe, to talk about all those things, all the things I want to talk about this year that I just really haven't had the time to yet. Yeah, so the video technically would probably be split into like 3 or 4 different parts. I will try to put timestamps, but I do tend to ramble on, just as like a heads up. I do tend to ramble on, and might include like certain points, like certain topics I want to talk about at other points. But yeah, if you do enjoy this video, please feel free to subscribe. I do try to do videos like this pretty often. That's mainly what this channel is. It's a lot of Nintendo discussions, sometimes Nintendo unboxings, Nintendo reactions to different Nintendo Directs and Pokemon Presents and that stuff. And yeah, that's mainly the focus of the channel. I do obviously sometimes branch off and do different content, but that's the main focus I like to have on this channel. So yeah, if you do like those type of videos, feel free to subscribe to the channel, as well as leave any feedback that you have from this video or any other videos you've watched in the comments below. And if you have any thoughts about any of the topics I talked about in this video, please feel free to leave down in the comments. I'd love to have a discussion there as well about anything that Nintendo has done this year, is planning to do for the rest of the year, or into 2025. This video is going to be structured mainly with me talking about my thoughts, as well as some predictions, mainly focused around 2025, but still some for the rest of the year for this year. And yeah, without further ado, let us get right into it. So obviously the first thing I wanted to talk about is what Nintendo's 2024 has already been. So I'm recording this on August 2nd, 2024. So it's been about, 7 full months of Nintendo goodies for the whole year. We've had, I think we've averaged one first party release per month this year, which is something Nintendo has really liked doing during the Nintendo Switch era. So I'm glad that we've been able to keep up with that for this year so far. So yeah, I think I'm just going to talk about the games first. I'm going to try to interject with the presentations because we've had a couple presentations as well. And yeah, so the first game, obviously, we started in January, which isn't something that Nintendo, like they've been on and off sometimes with if they're going to have a January release or not. Obviously 2017 we didn't have a January release just because Nintendo Switch didn't release until until March 2020, or March 2017. I believe we might have had a January release I'm not sure. In 2018, I don't think we did. Just because we added Xenoblade Chronicles 2 the month before in December. In 2019, I believe we had New Super Mario Bros. U Deluxe. In 2020, I think we had Tokyo Mirage Sessions. In 2021, I don't think we had a January release because we had Super Mario 3D World, plus Bowser Fury the month after. In 2022, I don't remember if we had one. In 2023, we had Fire Emblem Engage, and then this year we had another Code Recollection. So they don't, it's been like maybe on and off for January releases. I think this January release was really great. I've never played the Another Code series before, so being able to experience it for the first time and seeing something that's smaller, a smaller Nintendo franchise that Nintendo hasn't revisited since the Wii U era, and seeing them like fully like remake it and add, modern touches to it was really great. I've only played through the first game so far. I obviously want to go back and play through the second one, but I just don't. With everything that's been happening the last couple months, I just haven't had the time to. I finished the first game, I believe, in like April or May, so I do want to go back and play through the second one once I get the time. But we just had an announcement recently of a game that's kind of like Another Code, and I want to play the first 2 games in that series as well that released on Nintendo Switch. So things are getting busy, but right now I really had a great time with Another Code. I'm looking forward to going back and playing it in the future. Maybe they can add Ashley Robinson or Ashley Robbins to Ashley Robbins to Smash Brothers in the future. Who knows? I think that'd be pretty cool. But yeah, that was our main January release. It was a really good one. We had that announced last year in September. So I think honestly from the September Direct, the announcement of Paper Mario 1000 Year Door was probably the biggest surprise. But something like Another Code making a return, especially like a decade later, maybe even 15 years later, I think that's really cool. I think that's something that Nintendo's really tried doing in recent months, or yeah, especially for this year. They've really tried going back and either going to series that they have never done before, or they haven't done well. We've had a couple of like 1 series or 2 series that they've like got new releases, but series that haven't gotten released in a long time and stuff like that. So I've had a really good time with that so far, from what I played of it. But then in February we had 2 releases in February, being Mario vs. Donkey Kong, the remake of the Game Boy, or I think it's Game Boy game. It could be Game Boy Advance. I believe it was Donkey Kong 94, so that's like Game Boy. But yeah, we had a remake of Mario vs. Donkey Kong, and we had the release of Splatoon 3 Side Order, the larger expansion for Splatoon 3. Both of those are really cool releases. I haven't done much with Side Order yet. I've only recently really gotten back into Splatoon 3 after like a couple of months. I got into it a lot when it released. I didn't really play it much in 2023. And then this year I've gotten back more into it, so I haven't gotten the Side Order. I'm now finishing, or coming close to finishing, the main campaign of Splatoon 3, so I did take a break from Splatoon, but I'm very happy to be back. It's a very fun game, and I can't, we have 2 Splatfests that they've already announced coming up very soon. We have this month's Splatfest and the next month's Splatfest, which is the 2-year anniversary Splatfest, which is very exciting. But yeah, I've mainly only played as I mentioned, I've only really played Mario vs. Donkey Kong, and I finished the main story of the game. I really enjoyed it. My main, I don't really know what to say. The way I started with Mario vs. Donkey Kong was through the DS and the DSi games, and they're pretty different than the ones that the first Mario vs. Donkey Kong, or what the remake was. So it was very interesting just to see how different they were, and I hope that Nintendo in the future, as long as it sold well, does go back, maybe do another Mario vs. Donkey Kong in the style of the remake, or maybe they do reintroduce the series. It is kind of interesting to talk about Mario vs. Donkey Kong because they did do like a title in like 2015, 2016 with Tipping Stars. So it's not like the series was like absent, or they like stopped doing entries in it. But we never really got a game in that same formula as the remake, past really the release of the remake. So past the original game. So yeah, I hope they go back and do a new Mario vs. Donkey Kong in the same style. Maybe, I haven't gone on like further in the game past finishing the main story, because I'm a little bit afraid. I'm a little afraid of doing the EX levels, just because they do seem pretty difficult, and I don't want to get so distracted that, and put like all my time into that when there is other games I want to play. So, but from my main experience with the main story, I really enjoyed it. It's a fairly short game. It's like 5 to 6 hours, and for me that's pretty cool, just because it allows me to experience the whole game, get my short bursts within the game. Like I probably played maybe 30-45 minutes at a time. Maybe I did like one world, and then I would stop for a day or two and then go back and do another world. I'm kind of doing that with both Luigi's Mansion 2 HD right now and the newest Super Monkey Ball game. So yeah, I really that's something I enjoy doing, like getting those short, play times within the game, and then taking a little break, playing maybe something different for a little while, and then going back. So Mario vs. Donkey Kong was very suitable for that. But yeah, so that was the first two main games. I don't really have much to say about Side Order, so that's why I haven't really talked about it. I am, maybe if I do another type of these videos at the end of the year, hopefully I've started at least something with Side Order, but right now I haven't really done much with the game. But that's not really a big thing, I don't think. I'm looking forward to playing it once I can. But my main focus with Splatoon right now is getting better in Turf War or Turf Battle, and getting ready for the Splatfest. But in February, we also had the first ever Nintendo Direct Partner Showcase. We've had Nintendo Direct mini partner showcases, but we had a Nintendo Direct partner showcase, which it didn't really feel that different. They're pretty similar. I'm thinking probably it's just because maybe the Microsoft games were in this one, and Nintendo had a fully new first-party announcement to make in this Direct, that they took away the mini moniker and just made it a Nintendo Direct Partner Showcase. So that adds another possibility to Nintendo Directs. The type of Nintendo Directs we could be getting. We could get a Nintendo Direct General, Nintendo Direct General Partner Showcase, a Mini Direct, Nintendo Direct Mini, Nintendo Direct Mini Partner Showcase. Maybe one day they'll go back to do Nintendo Direct Micros. You can obviously get game specific Direct. So we have a lot. We have a lot of different things Nintendo could do with those. But I don't really have much to say about the Direct. I think I maybe did a video about the Direct, but it's really fun. It was a fun Direct. Obviously, maybe at that point of the year, that wasn't really something we expected to see. We did expect a general Nintendo Direct at that point. With announcements for like the first 6, 7, 8 months of the year. But, we had a video soon after that talking about first party titles. So I think that Direct did what it needs to do. We saw the announcements of the Microsoft games coming to Nintendo Switch. We saw the announcement of Endless Ocean Luminous there. We saw, a couple of smaller indie games. I believe that is where the new Super Monkey Ball Banana Rumble was announced. So it had big announcements. It's just, I think at the time, a lot of people were expecting a larger general Nintendo Direct. So it was a little bit weird to see a partner showcase, but still, out of all the partner showcases, I think that one maybe was my favorite. I've had a really good time with most of the partner showcases. So, I know that's not really something I can say like, oh, that was the best one, because I've had a good time with all of them. But that one, it had some really big announcements. So it was really fun. I like all Nintendo Directs. Partner showcases sometimes are just surprising to see, but still, it was a really cool partner showcase in that. But yeah, then we finished the month with those three main sticking points from Nintendo. And then in March we got two announcements. Well, we got a release in March. We had Princess Peach Showtime, as well as we had a Mario Day 2024 video release. Both of those are really cool. I've had a really good time with Princess Peach Showtime so far. I'm not too far into the game. I think I just finished the first main area of the game, so I'm on the second level now. I really enjoyed it. It has some really cool mechanics. Obviously, it has a bunch of different costumes, which is really cool. And I'm looking forward to it. It's one of the games I do want to get back into once I finish some of the newer releases that have recently come out. That didn't really make sense. Newer releases that recently came out, but games like Luigi's Mansion 2 HD and Paper Mario: The Thousand Year Door, stuff like that. I would love to go back and play some more Princess Peach Showtime. So yeah, I'm looking forward to playing it once I find more time to do so. But we also have the Mario Day video, and in that video we saw the announcement of the release date for Paper Mario: 1000 Year Door, which was May 23rd, 2024. as well as I think Luigi's Mansion 2 HD was June 27th, 2024. But something I did mention with Endless Ocean Luminous was, since Endless Ocean Luminous came out, we have had released the games, the first party games Nintendo's released have come out on Thursdays. That is a, that's different really than what earlier in the generation. I mean, if we go back to like the 3DS, we used to get games like early on in the 3DS generation, in the DS generation, and like the Wii generation. We got games that were like released on Sundays from Nintendo first party games. I remember that mainly with like the Pokemon games, Mario Kart 7. I remember getting Mario Kart 7 on a Sunday. I believe Super Mario 3D Land was also like that. But yeah, so my main experience with that was through the Pokemon games on the DS. But early on in the 3DS generation, around 2013, 2014, we moved to Friday releases. Friday Friday for first party Nintendo releases, and that followed through with the 3DS, the Wii U, and then most of the Switch era. But now we have games that release on Thursdays, which is interesting in itself. I think it's pretty cool. There's probably something like logistical that they, for the reason why they moved it to Thursdays, but I think it's pretty cool. It gives us an extra day every release now to play the games a little bit earlier. I believe still, if you are in a different region, you can get the games. Like if you're in the US, the games come out on Thursdays. But if you are in the US and due to time zones, the game does release earlier in Australia and like Japan. So I believe that still applies, and that's like on Wednesdays now. But still, yeah. It was something I wanted to point out. I think it's pretty cool. I think it's probably something they're gonna keep with, at least for the next couple of years. I don't really see a reason why they would want to go back to Fridays or really need to go back to Fridays. Maybe one day they'll go to Wednesdays. And then obviously like outside of like the first party titles, most games also release on Tuesdays. So I don't think Nintendo's gonna go to Tuesdays, but I think Thursdays is pretty cool. But see, like I rambled there. Like I didn't really need to talk that much about that. But yeah, we saw with Endless Ocean Luminous and Luigi's Mansion 2 HD and Paper Mario: The Thousand Year Door. It was on Thursdays. So technically, Princess Peach Showtime was our last Friday release, which is pretty interesting. But still, all that, March was pretty big. We did get those announcements. We got the announcement of the next Mario movie there. We saw a couple of NSO releases. And yeah, so I guess I could say March was Mario month. We got a bunch of Mario announcements. We saw the release of Princess Peach Showtime. And overall, it was a pretty cool month for Nintendo Switch. It was a stressful month for me personally, but I think when Nintendo did that month, it was pretty cool. And I that's a pretty cool video. They had a pretty cool video. They had a pretty cool game release. And I'm really looking forward to playing, getting back into in the next couple weeks, months. And yeah. So then, in April, we had an Indie World, but that was pretty much it, I believe. We didn't really get much more in April. It was the 1 month so far that didn't have a game release. Which the average was made up in May, because we had 2 game releases in May. But we didn't really see anything in April. We saw the Indie World. The Indie World had some pretty cool games in it. Some games that I bought. I bought some of the puzzle games that they showed off in the Indie World. But that was pretty much it. We didn't really get much more in April. In May, we saw the release of Endless Ocean Luminous, which is the game that, again, like Another Code, I've had a lot of fun with, but I haven't really been able to play too much of it. Just because, well, Endless Ocean Luminous, it has a lot of like content in it, in my opinion, but a lot of it is repetitive. So I was able to play through a couple of the online events and some of the story. I haven't really gone back and done all the story yet, but it does get kind of repetitive at a certain point. So it's a game that I think I should. I do enjoy playing, but it is something where I think I gotta take like breaks here and there, like maybe a play for like a week, and then I take a break for like a month, and then come back again in a week for a week, and just like do that. I believe right now, today or yesterday, they announced that they are hosting a Splatoon type of event in the game, where like octopuses and squids show up more. I think that's pretty cool. I will maybe go back and play for that event, but I haven't played it probably around a month. It's a really cool game, but you know, it's like I said, once you see a lot of it, that you do see a lot of it, even if there's a lot of content, like a lot of different species to find, or a lot of different locations in the game. And once you do that often enough, it kind of does become a little bit of repetitive. I hope maybe one day they do some DLC for it. Obviously right now they're doing free updates, but you know, it'd be pretty cool for them to add maybe some more species, maybe something like maybe an expansion to the story mode or something like that. But the other release we saw in May was Paper Mario: The 1,000-Year Door. I'm on chapter 4 or 5, so I'm like in the middle of the game. I've had a really good time with it so far. I did become a little bit distracted once Luigi's Mansion 2 HD came out, so I haven't really played it much since then, but I'm looking forward to going back and playing it. You know, probably within this month, honestly. I'm going to try to balance that with a couple of games I want to start this month. But yeah, Paper Mario: The 1,000-Year Door. It's very fun, you know. I think I mentioned it earlier, but from the September Direct, I think that and Another Code are probably the biggest surprises for me. You know, Mario vs. Donkey Kong, I guess, was a surprise, but it's something where I think Nintendo, like I mentioned earlier, Nintendo hasn't like abandoned the Mario vs. Donkey Kong or the Mario and Donkey Kong moniker or franchise. But like Another Code hadn't received a new entry in close to, you know, over a decade. And same thing with Endless Ocean. But as well as, you know, Paper Mario: 1,000-Year Door. A lot of people obviously would like really wanted to see it after we saw the announcement and release of, well, actually, it came out. It was announced before the release of Super Mario RPG, but you know, with Super Mario RPG being announced, that's something that people wanted to see. We wanted to see more of the older Super Mario, more of the Mario RPGs being revisited, and that is something that they're doing. They're doing that even more now, as I will get into in a little bit. But yeah, that month was pretty big, but probably the biggest thing to come out of the month, like that was like maybe somewhat surprising, was what happened on May 7th, 2024, within their investors meeting. In the investor meeting, they announced that they will be hosting a Nintendo Direct, which aired in the middle of January, not middle of January, in the middle of June, maybe I think it was June 18th, if I'm being exact. I think it was June 18th. And they confirmed that by the end of March 2020, by the end of March 2025, they will have talked at least something about the next Nintendo console. That could be with it being by the end of March 2025, they could talk about it in March 2025, or they could talk about it a little bit earlier. You know, if it's releasing in the earlier parts of next year, then if the console's releasing in the earlier parts of next year, then, you know, we'll probably have to talk about it this year. But if it's coming out maybe in like the summer or like the second half of next year, they don't need to talk about it this year. They could wait until, you know, February, March, around then to officially, you know, release some news on it. But still, I think that was pretty surprising. I think that was a pretty big news drop from Nintendo to officially acknowledge that they are working on the successor to the Nintendo Switch, and that probably by the end of 2025 or early 2026, the console would have been released, which is really cool. And then a little bit after that, we also saw the announcement of Nintendo World Championships NES Edition, which just recently released. So it had a very short announcement to release cycle, which is very cool. I love when Nintendo does those type of things. And then yeah, so we had a fairly big May. We had a big March. We had a big May. I don't really think we didn't really have a big July, but still very cool. And then in June we had the release of Luigi's Mansion 2 HD. which, as I mentioned, I've alluded to before, but I'm still playing through that. That game is mainly taken most of my focus when it comes to single player games. I'm having a really good time with it. I had Dark Moon on the 3DS, but I wasn't really able to ever complete it. So this is my chance to finally finish the story and see how the story progresses from what I've played from the 3DS onwards. So yeah, I have had a really good time with that. But the main thing that happened in June was the June 2024, June 18th, 2024 Nintendo Direct. The Nintendo Direct that really inspired me to make this video, really. I wanted to talk about it. I just really hadn't had the time yet, but now I do. And so I really love that Nintendo Direct. I think I've said it. I think I alluded, I added a little bit add-on to my reaction to it, but I really loved it. It was a really good Nintendo Direct. Honestly, it might have been my favorite Nintendo Direct of the whole Nintendo Switch era. And definitely it's ranked high, at least. There's maybe the February 2022 Direct ranks high with that as well, but I really loved it. That Direct was great. It had amazing announcements. It had really surprising announcements. We got our first look at Metroid Prime 4, which is now known as Metroid Prime 4 Beyond. As I alluded to earlier, they're still working on Mario RPG with the Mario RPG series with Mario and Luigi Brothership, which is really cool looking. I'm really excited for that to come out in November. Obviously, we got the announcement of a new Legend of Zelda top-down game with Legend of Zelda Echoes of Wisdom. We saw a new Mario Party with Super Mario Party Jamboree. We saw a surprise update for Nintendo Switch Sports with basketball being added to the game. And then we also saw Dragon Quest HD 2D, Dragon Quest 3 HD 2D, and Dragon Quest 1 and 2 HD 2D be announced. We saw Ace Attorney Investigations. We saw Donkey Kong Country Returns HD. We saw a lot. That Direct was full. It was absolutely full. And it was a lot. It was very surprising to me to see it that full, just because I was on the board that Nintendo likely is going to start winding down. They officially acknowledged that they are working on the successor to the Nintendo Switch the month before. So my suspicion was that they would start winding down a little bit. We would probably see maybe 2 of the announcements that we actually got in the Direct. I thought maybe we would see Metroid Prime 4, and then now Metroid Prime 4 Beyond, and then maybe a game like Echoes of Wisdom or Brothership. But I did not think we would see all 3. I did not think we would see a Mario Party with all of them. We know January 2025's game now with Donkey Kong Country Returns HD, which kind of adds to my thing earlier talking about January games. And yeah, so overall, it was a really good Direct. I really loved it. It had the first party announcements, the amazing first party announcements, and it had the amazing third party announcements that make a really cool Nintendo Direct. And it does bring into discussion what Nintendo is really planning to do with the next console. There's a high likelihood that it is going to be backwards compatible, so any of the games that they announced in that Direct will be playable on that console. But it does bring into question maybe what Nintendo's holding for the next console. These would have been amazing games to have released throughout the year, especially with next year, throughout next year with the console. But it's very possible that they have bigger games. They have maybe a new 3D Mario, or maybe a new Animal Crossing, new Mario Kart, that stuff. So, in comparison to those games, when you compare those games to these ones that they just announced, maybe these ones aren't as big, but it's very cool. These games are very cool. I've already pre-ordered all of them. And I'm excited to play through them. I'm hoping to get Super Mario RPG and Paper Mario Thousand Year Door finished before Mario and Luigi comes out, because that's the RPG series that I'm the most excited for when it comes to Mario RPGs. And as well as with the same thing with Echoes of Wisdom, I want to at least I don't know if I'll ever finish the Echoes of Wisdom. I've only ever really finished one Zelda game, and that was Breath of the Wild. Truthfully, I have played. Though I did double my playtime in Tears of the Kingdom compared to Breath of the Wild, and I'm only halfway through Tears of the Kingdom. So, I will definitely be playing Echoes of Wisdom. I just don't know how far I'll get into it, especially by the end of the year. Um, and then my biggest announcement from like that direct was Mario Party, Super Mario Party Jamboree, just because I love the Mario Party series. I've really enjoyed it since I was young. For Christmas, I don't remember the year. I think 2012 or 2013, whatever year Island Tour came out, maybe 2014. But whatever year Island Tour came out, that's the game I got for Christmas that year. And I also got, and that year, same year, I got, so I believe it was 2013. I also got Link Between Worlds. So, two very distinctly different games, but I do love the Mario Party series. I'm there day one, especially now with that series, and I'm glad they're releasing another one for the year. That looks extremely cool. Like, it has the most mini games that the series has ever had, a game in the series has ever had. I'm hoping it has the most boards ever. Right now we only know 5 of them, but I'm hoping maybe there's at least 1 or 2 more boards that the game has. Maybe one day they'll update and add more boards to the game. Obviously, who knows? But still, I think it's really cool. I'm very excited for that. Obviously, I'm very excited for Metroid Prime 4 Beyond. I'm gonna try to do a stream later this year. I don't want to make any guarantees of the Metroid Prime Remastered. I'm waiting until the end of September to make that a reality, just because I will talk about it in a little bit. But I think there's possibility we see something more Metroid Prime this year, released this year. But that direct was really good. I just wanted to put those thoughts out there. Those thoughts have been in my mind for over a month now. I loved it. I've released shorts of every single major reaction that was had during that presentation, during that Nintendo Direct. I'm hoping that those really conveyed how I really felt, because those are big announcements, and I loved that Direct. That Direct was amazing, in my opinion. And I know I'm a person that says all the Directs are amazing, but still, I loved doing that. I loved watching that Direct. It just had so many cool announcements. And I mean, I don't know what the next Direct will look like, if we even get another Direct in the Nintendo Switch era, which I will bring up here in a little bit. But even if it's like half of that, I'll be really happy. But I mean, that felt like the June Direct that felt like the June Direct we used to get in the past, or what we associate with like the E3 Directs or the June Directs. Like, they kept that up with that Direct, and that was really awesome. And I mentioned earlier, so Luigi's Mansion 2 HD released. Very fun. I've had a lot of fun with it. And then in July, we didn't get much. We did get in July. We got a new game announcement in July. But NES, Nintendo World Championships NES Edition, released in July. I've had a lot of fun with it. I haven't gone through and done all the challenges yet, but I have so far been able to keep up, and I've done all the World Championship, like the online challenges, or like the tournament style challenges. So I've had really fun with that. I did the ones for this week, a little bit. I think on Tuesday I did those, and it had a legend challenge. I haven't ever done a legend challenge in that game yet, so that was very difficult. And I've also, the game does feel a little bit different than maybe I would have thought. I don't have the NES controllers though, for like the NES NSO controllers. I've thought about buying them. I think they're on sale right now, so I may actually buy them. But I don't have those, so it does feel a little bit different with the gamepad or the Pro Controller. But still, I've had a lot of fun with it. The Legend Challenge for this week, since I don't think that the video is actually gonna go up this week, this video, but Legend Challenge was to be able to complete the Super Mario the first Super Mario game, not Super Mario RPG. It's the first Super Mario game, Super Mario Bros. Using the warp pipes, the warp zones. So I think that's really cool. That's a very cool challenge. It took me about, I think on my final attempt, it took me about 10-ish minutes, maybe a little bit under that, maybe a little bit above that. But I like the challenges. The challenges are very cool. I know some people were disappointed that this isn't like NES Remix 3. I kind of thought it would have been when they first announced it, or when it was like first being speculated what the game was. But I think this game fits what it was meant to, like what it tried to do. I think it did it well, and I'm glad that the game does exist. I'm having a lot of fun with it as something that I turn on my Switch for maybe an hour, every week, or a couple of hours every week, and just do a couple of challenges, or obviously send in my times that I want to submit for the online challenges. But yeah, I've had a lot of fun with that. But the game that we did see announced this month was the newest game in the Famicom Detective Club series, Emio the Smiling Man, the Famicom Detective game. I've had a lot. I after that game was announced, I did buy the 2 that's on Nintendo Switch, and that's what I was alluding to earlier. That like those games are games I want to play, and after I finish recording this video, I'll honestly probably begin playing those, because I really want to play them. And this just reminded me, I need to start those at least before Emio comes out. But I'm very excited for Emio, honestly. I've never played a Famicom Detective Club game, so for me this is like a totally new thing. And like with another code that I mentioned earlier, or even Mario vs. Donkey Kong or Endless Ocean, these are like new experiences for me. At least from Nintendo. Obviously, this like the genre is something I've played before with I think it's like an adventure point and click. That's something I've played before, but it's seeing a Nintendo take on it, and this game is M rated, at least in the US. Seeing that, and I believe in the US and America, I believe Canada also has the ESRB ratings. But with that, I think it's really awesome that we're seeing that Nintendo like go in and take older franchises that maybe they've just done remakes for, or haven't even touched in a couple of or really done anything with in the last couple of years, last decade, 15 years, and just do something new with them, bring them back up for newer generations, or give them new games in the series. I think it's all really cool, and so I'm very excited for Emio. I know the way Nintendo teased it made some people, or a lot of people, believe that they were gonna like announce a complete new horror game. I think I like the way that Nintendo teased it, because they left the door open for what it could have been, and I think that's why some people were disappointed with what the game ended up being. But still, I think I'm very excited for it. I've already have it on pre-order. It comes out on August 29th, so it's out this month. And yeah, so I'm very excited to play it. I might do a let's play on it. I keep promising that I will do let's plays on the games Nintendo's releasing, and then I don't ever end up doing them. But I'm trying to get more into let's plays. I'm trying to get more into doing that type of content alongside like my discussion videos that I also enjoy doing. But yeah, that is really the end of what I have for what has happened in the past. The video is already 38 minutes long, and I do have to talk about what I think the rest of the year looks like, and a little bit in 2025. I won't spend too much in 2025, just because I think I want to do a video after the end of September, or at some point later in this year, that talks about my predictions for the next year fully. After we see if the console is really announced at least this year, or they talk about anything additional for the year. But let us get right into it. Let us just get right into, we finished what we're now in the modern day. So let's talk about a little bit of the rest of the future for the year. So yes, I've largely talked about already what Nintendo has for the rest of the year, just because I talked about the June Direct, and those announcements are largely what we have known for the rest of the year. So for this month, obviously I mentioned earlier, we have Emio the Smiling Man Famicom Detective Club game that comes out on August 29th. Next month in September, we have Legend of Zelda Echoes of Wisdom, which I'm very excited about. If we do get anything additional this month, which I'll actually talk about month by month for this section, but like I did for the previous section. But I think we're gonna see a lot more of Legend of Zelda Echoes of Wisdom this month, so I'm very excited about that. And then in October we have Super Mario Party Jamboree, and then in November we have Mario and Luigi Brothership, and then at some point, in the future, we also have Metroid Prime 4 Beyond, and then in January we also, well, let me rephrase that. we have Donkey Kong Country Returns HD in January, and then at some point beyond, we have Metroid Prime 4 beyond. Hopefully next year. They gave it a 2025 date, so hopefully it does make next year. But yeah, that's what we know. So a lot of this going forward will just be speculation at this point. This month we are expecting to see a Pokemon Presents, which is the other thing that really pushed me to make this video, just because I'm probably going to have a prediction video for the Pokemon Presents once it is officially announced. But that's something we are expecting to see at some point this year. I mean, at some point this month, not some point this year. Some point this month. That is something I did forget to mention in February. We had another big announcement. We had the Pokemon Presents on Pokemon Day in February that announced Pokemon Legends ZA, which is coming out next year. So yeah, that's something we got to talk about. Pokemon Legends ZA. That's coming out next year. Maybe early next year, maybe late next year. But that is something I would expect to see in this month's Pokemon Presents, if it does happen. Last night, Nintendo announced that Pokemon Mystery Dungeon Red Rescue Team is coming to NSO on August 8th or 9th, depending on where you live, I believe. But still, that's a very cool announcement. That is something I would probably expect to see in a Pokemon Presents, but I think it also gives us a little bit of idea of when the Pokemon Presents may be airing, you know, either on August 8th or 9th, and then maybe they'll drop the release during the Presents. But yeah, I would expect again to see Pokemon Legends ZA this month, just through the Pokemon Presents, just because I think we will, even if it is coming out later next year, I mean, yeah, late next year, I think we'll see the first trailer for it. Something similar to what they did with Legends Arceus, where we saw the first trailer for Legends Arceus in February of 2021, and then it released in January 2022. We're around that point now where they could do, even if it's coming out maybe October, November next year, they could do a trailer for it, and then maybe do another trailer in February, and then maybe next summer they give it like an official release date. The weird thing about this is that technically, I mean, that might be the longest we've ever seen the Pokemon Company and Game Freak take to both from announcement to release. I think they had maybe a longer period during the Game Boy Advance era, but it is, you know, that would be close to 2 years at that point. And I'm not sure if that's something they would like to do, which is something that makes me a little bit cautious if they are going to even do a Pokemon Presents this month, just because they could do a Pokemon Presents on Pokemon Day next year that shows off the game. You know, it's a full trailer. It's pretty much like the Legends Arceus trailer. Maybe gives us a little bit more details on it, but I guess it really depends on when the game's releasing. But I think this month we will see Legends EA, and then as well as we'll probably see a bunch of updates for the mobile games, so like Masters EX, Pokemon Cafe Remix, Pokemon Go, Pokemon Unite, Pokemon TCG Pocket, maybe the announcement of a new spin-off game that comes out at some point this year, maybe early next year, maybe a new Pokemon Mystery Dungeon. I think that'd be pretty cool to announce like Red Rescue Team is coming to NSO, and then you lead into that with a new Mystery Dungeon game announcement. I think that'd be pretty awesome. But yeah, that's what I'm mainly expecting Pokemon Presents. I will have a more in-depth prediction video if it is announced for this month, in a little bit, you know, in probably a couple days. But yeah, I think that's what I expect to see in the Pokemon Presents. We do also have Pokemon Worlds next week, or maybe the week after next week. I believe it's, let me look at my calendar right now. I believe, yeah, so it's the week after. So we have Pokemon Worlds during the week after. We could also see some news for Pokemon Legends EA there, or just about Pokemon, you know, in general. We could see some announcements there, but I think we see the Pokemon Presents. I think we see something at Pokemon Worlds, some sort of thing. We also have Gamescom coming up very soon. At the end of this month or early next month, we have PAX West, I believe, or PAX East, PAX West. I believe at the end of this month, or maybe at some point next month. We also have Tokyo Game Show. So we have a lot of different events where different announcements and topics come up. I know Pokemon is at Gamescom. They are at they might be at PAX, but they're also at the Pokemon Worlds and Pokemon Presents. So we could see news at some point during this month, either related to Legends ZA or something new for the Pokemon series at some point. But yeah, that is pretty much all I expect to see this month. We could see a game-specific direct for Legend of Zelda Echoes of Wisdom, but it really depends on when they will be doing that, because last year we did see on August 31st, they did do a direct for Super Mario Bros. Wonder, but that was also about 2 months or a little under 2 months before the game releases. If they were to do a Echoes of Wisdom direct at the same time frame, that'd be under a month before the game releases. So I think if they do a Echoes of Wisdom direct, it will be probably either next week or the week after. But then it kind of also affects my prediction for the Pokemon Presents, because I also think the Pokemon Presents is next week, or maybe early the week after, but it really depends. And so I don't really think they need to do a direct for Echoes of Wisdom. I think I will go into it in like a couple minutes, but I think we probably will see a direct next month of some sort. If it is a general direct, I think they could give the game a segment again, like they just did in the June direct, where they talk about Echoes of Wisdom. You know, they maybe bring Alanuma back to talk about Echoes of Wisdom a little bit, and then they maybe talk about a little bit about the story, or they talk about a little bit about maybe an additional feature in the game, a different mechanic that is in the game. But I think that is about it, honestly. I don't think, because unlike Super Mario Bros. Wonder, what that game, like, they had a bunch of Wonder mechanics, it had a bunch of characters they could talk about. It didn't really focus too much on the story in that direct. But from what we already see from Echoes of Wisdom, the main mechanic is Echoes. So I think what they would mainly talk about, like what they mainly probably have left to talk about, is the story. And I think that they could probably do like a story trailer if they were going to do that. Just because I don't think they want to spoil too much on the game. So I don't know if they want to do a whole direct for it. So I think a trailer would probably work better in that case. But we will have to see. We're probably around 2 weeks away from would probably be the best time to do that direct. So by probably August 19th, we will know, which is very exciting. But yeah, so that is all for August. We're gonna go into September, but I mentioned the main thing I expect to happen in September, besides the release of Echoes of Wisdom. I think we will see a Nintendo Direct next month. I think, for me personally, I think it will be a general Nintendo Direct, just because I think Nintendo has enough to talk about. They could do a new trailer for Echoes of Wisdom. They could do segments on Super Mario Party Jamboree and Mario and Luigi Brothership. We could get a new trailer for Metroid Prime 4 Beyond, and then maybe even get a small little tidbit on Donkey Kong Country Returns HD. And then yeah, I mean, we could even get like another sizzle reel at the end of the direct, again, like we did last September, that basically shows pretty much all the games Nintendo's announced or that will be releasing, at some point in the future. Yeah, so I think we will see a general Nintendo Direct next month. In that Direct, besides stuff we already know about, I think we'll see one or two more announcements for 2025. I don't think we'll see any announcements for this year. I think Nintendo's lineup is pretty full, outside of maybe Metroid Prime 2 and 3, Metroid Prime 2 remastered or HD. But I think besides that, we probably know most of the lineup for the year. But yeah, that is honestly what I'm expecting for September. That's the main thing besides Echoes of Wisdom. There's been some rumors about some games they could announce during the Direct, so I will not talk about those because I don't know how realistic those announcements or rumors really are. But it does give me an idea that we probably will at least see one or two games be announced in that Direct, if the Direct actually does happen. But yeah, we pretty much flew through August and September. October, I'm not expecting much besides Super Mario Party. It really depends on what happens in September. In September, it is also possible we do see the announcement of the console, of the successor to the Nintendo Switch, and that is like the big thing in the air. We could also see the announcement this month in August, but I think September is probably a little more likely. And if it is announced in September, it probably comes out in March. And then looking at that, I think we see a little bit of a larger thing for the, not thing, but like a larger, I don't think they'll announce the console in a direct, but I think we see something like a 10-minute video that announces the console, and it talks about the main launch title for the game, or for the console. And that's what's mainly holding me back on what I think Nintendo will do with the announcement of the successor. Just because I think they will have to announce, like, give a title to whatever the launch title also is for the console. You know, if that's 3D Mario or Mario Kart. Just because with Breath of the Wild and, Breath of the Wild, Nintendo Switch is pretty much the shortest announcement to release cycle Nintendo ever had with a console. But a lot of that was carried by the weight of Breath of the Wild, and because we already knew Breath of the Wild for a couple of years at that point. You know, we've seen a couple of trailers, we saw some, we've seen a lot of gameplay at that point. At that point, again, as I mentioned, the launch was carried by Breath of the Wild. We don't have that liberty right now. We don't really have the launch title for the Nintendo Switch successor, like, unless it's Metroid Prime 4 Metroid Prime 4 Beyond. But even with that, we haven't even seen much of that. So I think they have to announce the main launch title alongside the console, and so I think they will either put that in like a direct, or we will see, obviously, like the night before, like the day before, them announce that tomorrow or the day in 2 days we'll talk about the next console, and then in that video, or when they talk about the next console, they'll talk about the next, the main launch title for this series, for the console. And that does go a little bit in 2025 discussion. And besides what I've already talked about, we might see an Indie World this month, besides Pokemon Presents. We might see a partner showcase instead of a general direct next month. We might not see any direct next month, maybe the console announcement. In October, we could see the console announcement alongside the release of Super Mario Party Jamboree. In November, I'm not really expecting too much outside of Mario and Luigi Brothership to release. I don't think they're going to announce a console in November, just because that really is the peak, I believe, of the holiday season, shopping season, with Black Friday coming up a little bit at the end of November. So, I don't think Nintendo wants to really announce the console and then have the console overshadow, their holiday lineup and their holiday sales. So I think it's either announced September or October, like the console, or going into 2025, because we've pretty much talked about everything I really expect to see for 2024 and what's already been discussed or announced for 2024. I think the next time the console could be announced is February, and I don't think, if that's the case, the one thing I didn't mention is I don't think we're going to see a February Direct next year, no matter what happens. I don't think we're going to see a February Direct even if the console is announced this year, just because I feel like the February time frame, if it is announced this year, will be used mainly to serve like the lead up to the console's release. Maybe we'll get like a trailer here and there for some of the Nintendo Switch games, and obviously with Nintendo Switch being backwards compatible more than likely, what we will see is, like, we'll see those trailers have Nintendo Switch successor logos, the logo for the successor on them, in those trailers. But what I expect to see, honestly, is February to be either the lead up to, like, the month lead up to the console's release, or when the console is announced. I don't think they're gonna wait until March to announce it. But I could see February being the announcement month as well. And yeah, so honestly, that's mainly what I wanted to talk about with 2025, just that console. We will see a Pokemon Day, Pokemon Presents, probably in February of next year. If we don't get a direct next month, if we don't get a direct next month in September, I could see a mini being at some point, either like in October or November, probably not December, but January at some point then, just to talk about Donkey Kong Country Returns HD and the early lineup for the next year for Nintendo Switch. Just because they're obviously not going to drop Nintendo Switch, like stop releasing games on it. That's not feasible. Nor would I think Nintendo would want to do that, just because the Nintendo Switch is so successful that it would be difficult to do that. Because obviously you'd want people or your consumer base to transfer, and like your players to transfer over to the next console. But there's a large majority that either won't be able to get the console at release, or they're just not really interested in another Nintendo console because they get everything they need from the Nintendo Switch. So you'd want to continue to at least support that, at least for probably about a year or two. Maybe with cross-gen games, or games that are exclusive to Nintendo Switch but are playable on the next console. But yeah, I think obviously I mentioned by March 2025 we will at least have seen the console. By the end of March 2025, if not already have the console. So that's very exciting. I mentioned what I think the launch house could be. It could be a new Mario Kart. It could be what I'm leaning towards being a 3D Mario, a new 3D Mario. It could be something totally different. Obviously, with what we see normally from Nintendo is that they have a big launch title, most of the time, and then they have like a party game or like a game that shows off what the main mechanics of the console is. So we could see that here. We could see a new 3D Mario, and then see like a more casual type of game, quote unquote casual type of game, that shows off like a new gimmick that the console has or something like that. But yeah, that is really what I have that's what I really have talked about so far. As I mentioned earlier, I will be doing probably a prediction video for the Pokemon Presents if it is announced at some point this year. As well, at some point this year, some point this month. I don't think they will do a Pokemon Presents much later than this month. But yeah, if it's announced some point this month, I will have a Pokemon Presents prediction video. I will have a reaction to the Pokemon Presents. Likely I'll have some reaction with Pokemon Worlds, the closing ceremony of Pokemon Worlds, maybe even the opening ceremony. We'll see. And then I'll have probably after the end, like in some point in October, I'll record another video just like this one. Not necessarily summarizing the whole year so far, but basically talking about what I think that 2025 looks like. Because at that point by the end of October, so maybe I'll wait until the early part of November. But by the end of October, I think we will have a clear picture on both if the console is coming out before the end of March 2025 and when the console will be announced. If it's already announced at that point, it'll probably come out by March 2025. But if it's not announced at that point, we're probably looking at June or like May, June 2025 as the earliest for the console to be released. But yeah, that is really all I have left to talk about for this video. I hope you all enjoyed. This was a fairly long discussion video. I want to get back to doing more of these just to talk about my thoughts, talk about what I'm feeling about, video games and mainly Nintendo. But yeah, I really enjoyed making this video. I had a lot of fun talking about Nintendo and just what I expect for the rest of the year and some, a little bit in 2025. But yeah, I hope you all enjoyed. If you do have any thoughts of your own about anything Nintendo's gonna be doing for the rest of the year, or announcements they'll make, or even if you want to talk about 2025 a little bit, please leave it down in the comments below. I will respond back, and I will hopefully we could maybe start our own discussion down there about Nintendo and what they're planning for the rest of the year. But yeah, that is all I have for you all today. So I hope you all enjoyed this video. Make sure to make you happy, because I rhymes generic happy. I hope you all enjoy. If you are getting any of the games releasing from Nintendo this year, I hope you all enjoy Echoes of Wisdom or Super Mario Party Jamboree. I will try to at least do some streams for Mario Party Jamboree. Probably some like random match making lobbies. But if anybody wants to play Mario Party Jamboree, feel free to leave down in the comments below. Maybe I'll be able to do a stream 1 or 2 of those for the game. Again, and then Mario Party, me, Mario, and Luigi Brothership. And maybe anything else Nintendo announces. Obviously, MEO, the Smiling Man, for Family Guy Detective Club, the Family Guy Detective Club game. But yeah, that is all I have for you all today. So I hope you all enjoyed this video. I hope you all enjoyed I probably used the most recent direct and maybe some trailers as the background. I hope you all enjoyed that as well. And yeah, I'll see you on the next one. So make sure you make happy. So I'm Generic Cappy, and goodbye.